Welcome to the Hot Girl School, the podcast where we redefine confidence and go way beyond the reflection you see in the mirror.
We're your hosts, Lauren and Danielle, here to empower you to embrace your inner radiance because confidence is so much more than looks.
Whether you're strutting into an event or conquering the boardroom, join us as we explore topics like self-love, inner strength, and owning your unique journey to confidence.
So grab your favorite drinkie and turn up that volume because you're about to unleash your true potential.
Hey hotties, welcome back to the show. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Keisha Leilani, a serial entrepreneur and online business coach who has built multiple successful ventures, including a paleo product company and a social media agency. Keisha's journey is all about aligning the true purpose and stepping away from the hustle culture. Having experienced burnout herself, she now empowers female entrepreneurs, especially busy moms and ambitious entrepreneurs, to build authentic, aligned businesses through her programs like Aligned Audience Academy and Elevate Her Wealth Mastermind. Fun fact, she grew her Instagram from 0 to 50,000 in just 4 months. Keisha, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited for today's call and digging deep with you and sharing anything I can give to your audience and our audience to be able to help.
Awesome. We are so happy to have you, and I know that we are going to learn tons from you today. So let's dive in. You have a super incredible story of finding success. You've also experienced burnout, which we hear all the time. I just went to a mastermind this week and heard about it pretty much the whole time from almost every woman that was there. Can you share, let's start with that. Share a little bit with us about hitting your low point, what you had to learn, and kind of what you had to rewire to get out of it.
Yeah, so I started in network marketing. I had never really done network marketing prior to doing it this last 7 years. And I just remember getting so caught up in the hustle, the bustle, the grind of the work. And if I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was doing it all wrong. But I was chasing big goals, right? Like goals that I have never hit in my lifetime. And I think that I kind of, as much as I was chasing those goals, the reason why I was chasing those goals is to spend more time with my family and my kids. But in reality, I was doing night calls and not doing the bedtime with my kids. And I was getting caught up in that hustle and bustle. So when I experienced the burnout of my health being jeopardized from it and constantly feeling fatigue and tired and stomach issues, and it was a domino effect, right? So I hit rock bottom last summer and completely felt unmotivated, uninspired, not creative, to a point where I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't even show up the way I wanted to show up for my kids. And that is what hurt me the most, I would say, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting on my knees in prayer position and saying, God, please show me a way that is doable, that also gives me the ability to spend time with my kids and be there for them. The same reasons why I'm working as hard as I do for these goals that I have, these big dreams and stuff. And it took me to lose something big, like a career, to basically hit rock bottom and be quiet and still and pause to understand that, oh my gosh, I'm actually chasing the wrong things to get the success that I thought or desired to have. And so during all of that, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take a pause. I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to realign myself with who Keisha is, what my calling is, how I want to be seen, and what type of impact I want to leave. Because I was being in network marketing, I've learned a lot of how to do social selling, how to communicate with people, how to build big teams, but I lost myself, right? There was a little bit of my identity that was lost.
Do you feel like you were you were helping build someone else's success in a way?
100%. I was just going to say that. Yeah, I totally feel like it was never really mine, which is where comes the how to build an aligned audience. And hitting that rock bottom, I realized that it wasn't really mine. The audience that I had built for 7 years was no longer mine. So that gave me this, idea, excuse me. this idea to really start thinking about who I am, figuring out my identity, or what my identity I thought I wanted to be, and step more into that on a new Instagram. And so hitting rock bottom was a blessing in disguise, because it gave me that, I would say it gave me the opportunity and the vision of what could possibly be for myself. And I get to dictate and choose the rules, right? And
Yeah.
choose my audience, my own community, and how I want to leave and impact the world in a different way.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so I didn't know that about you. I didn't realize that it's just last summer that you did that. That is so
Right.
powerful. I mean, we're a little like we're not even a year and a half from when like was it this previous summer or like 2023?
2023.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I knew that I had a lot of transferable skills, and I knew at the core who I was and what type of impact I wanted to leave, but I really didn't know what that looked like. And so by educating myself on this new digital realm or digital marketing space, that, with AI and how people are using it to create content, better content, and SEO, keywords, that kind of stuff, I started really dialing down in Instagram, and I built it
Yeah.
all organically by being authentic and doing things that I was learning along the way. And I always say, when you gain skill, you gain will. So when I hit rock bottom, there's not a lot of will. There's a lot of self
Right.
doubt, lack of confidence, uncertainty, scared, I mean, fear, all the things. And I didn't want to live there, because if I lived there, then I knew I wouldn't be motivated to go do something to make something big again, right? And so
Sure.
instead of living there, I used that energy and put it into something that I could be excited about again, and that I could gain a little bit of confidence and gain some skill that which would give me will, and put it to and apply it. And it's exactly what I did. And so that
That's so
resilience was
amazing.
quick, right? Like
Yeah.
most people, when they hit rock bottom, there's a, which is okay. And like, I'm not, there's no right or wrong. There's more of a longer time gap for them to process maybe the trauma or the things that they experience that holds them back for actually living truth, right? Or living in that authentic alignment that I talk about. And for me, I bounce back pretty quick and say, I'm going to take this energy and I'm going to apply it to actually grow and
Yeah.
learn and put myself out there.
Yeah, so that gets into like limiting beliefs, right? So that's something that like everybody struggles with, that it could be from subconscious beliefs, from trauma. Did you go through like, especially at rock bottom? I know a lot of people can relate to that, or it's even rock bottom for them might be like, I'm so stuck in this job, but I know that I'm meant for more. Like, what are some of maybe the limiting beliefs that you had to work through, and maybe share some like tangible steps that you took
For
that,
sure.
because I know like everyone can relate with the hard stuff, and then they're like, but how? How did you get through it? So what's like let's pick one to talk through.
Um, Believing that I could do it again and in a different way than what I was already wired doing, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like, the way I did it for 7 years, it worked, but also didn't work, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, there was financial success. Yes, there was like this lifestyle that I, you know, became accustomed to and enjoyed and was awesome. But there also came a lot of challenges in the relationship or with the kids and the dynamic of the home, because, again, you're talking burnout and you never shut it off. So I would
Mhm.
say, because of all of that, rewiring my brain, I had this limited belief that, or maybe it was PTSD around, oh gosh, this is what it looks like again. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm scared to experience that in a way where it jeopardized some things that I'm not willing to jeopardize currently.
Yeah, no, I relate to that so much in my journey. Like our path of that burnout is aligned for sure. So would you say, as a mom, like I'm a mom of two also, like that really like makes a shift and a dynamic change in your business? What like is there anything about being a mom that influenced the switch up, and any lessons in like confidence as a business owner and confidence as a mom that you got from the rock bottom to where you are now?
Yes, I think that you always hear, I have young kids, they're 4 and 6, and you always hear like, they're only little one time. So make it count, right? And spend that time with them. And something that I realized that I wasn't doing was spending the quality time. Now, for sure I was spending time with them, but not really to the level I was hoping to spend because I was chasing, right? I was in the hustle bustle grind.
Sure.
And so I remember, I think it was my son had said something like, Mom, you're always working, you're always on a Zoom call. And it just like
Yeah.
in that moment, it took every part of me to be like, oh my gosh, he's right. Like there's a little bit of grain of truth to that. And I'm also doing that to provide the lifestyle. But there's
Yeah.
gotta be some type of, I don't know, balance or in between where I can have more of a structure in my schedule and with their schedule to where I'm disciplined to shut it off at certain times. So I am. I literally have the whole model I have now is completely more geared towards being a mom, which you wouldn't think, but it is because of how I have it set up compared to how it was before.
Yeah, you built a life by design. I love that. That's
Mhm.
that's what it's all about. Okay, so and you've owned so we've talked a little bit about like burnout to balance, or I like to call it harmony because I believe balance is bullshit.
Yeah, I
Story for
agree
another day, right? Story for another day.
for
But
that one
do you
too.
still have like the paleo company and the other stuff? Like you've built multiple businesses. So do you still have those ones? Is there ever any like uncertainty that comes with that and juggling multiple businesses?
Um, no, I don't have the paleo product anymore. It was something
Okay.
that, again, I started because of my health, and I'm gluten free, dairy free, soy free, preservative free, color free, pretty much everything free. So I
Okay,
was
so
like,
we're gonna have you back and you're gonna tell us all the things you eat because everyone needs to know this.
and I had a struggle with that when I started doing business coaching because I had to like weigh out I'm really super passionate and educated in ingredients and food and why it matters and how to perform and have productivity based off what you eat. And then I was like, but everyone asked me about the business side. So I
Yeah.
leaned more towards the business side, but I'm very passionate about both of them and very educated in both. So, but yeah, I'm happy to be back for that. But doesn't exist. I mean, the recipe still exists. I make it from time to time. In fact, I've also thought about bringing it back. But something I realized in that industry is that was also another hustle bustle. But a lot of money goes out to try to get some type of investment or big company to buy it, and it just wasn't something that I could see being long term for me,
Yeah,
based off what I knew from other big products that I worked with that would tell me insider stuff that I'm like, yeah, I don't know if this is the way I want to go. I'll eat it
sure.
myself, I'll make it for my friends, but as a business, I just didn't think with the margins and stuff, it was worth it.
To add it in. Okay. That makes sense. So I feel like, especially just coming off of a mastermind, like you and I met at Girlfriends in Business,
Mhm.
and everybody's trying to do big stuff, and I think some people are resistant to stepping into the coaching space because they're worried about social, they're worried
Right.
about like what's going to be my offer. So what's some like maybe some advice you have for people who have an idea that want to create a digital product or take on online coaching? What's some key advice you would give them?
I think spending time with yourself and not trying to do what everybody else is doing and get distracted by the masses and what might be
Yeah.
working for them, and truly getting, a pen and paper, writing it down, like what are your passions that you've had your whole life, and then what are your skills, and between both of them you can make a phenomenal coaching business. And then really asking yourself those deep hard questions, and if you need AI's help there you go. But asking those questions is like, what will fulfill me and make me feel like I'm thriving, I'm in my alignment for the rest of my life, right, till your deathbed, where like it doesn't even feel like work, right? Like I feel in
Yeah.
alignment with what I do coaching women because I've been coaching women probably since I was 13, but didn't even know
Yeah.
I could make a business of it, right, until I did the work and wrote it down, worked with a bunch of coaches that pulled that out of me to realize, wow, you have a lot to offer. And how can I now go not only share my story, but give them that sense of belief that I knew when I hit rock bottom last year and when I have in the previous lifetimes of mine. Someone's believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And
Mhm.
so now I tell people, I'm like, borrow other people's belief if you need to while yours is being built. Borrow other people's confidence while yours is being built. if you're brand new and don't know where to start and you're scared, you're nervous, you're all the things, the great thing about having a mentor, a coach, or somebody that even could be a accountability partner in the same type of entrepreneurial space, it gives you that little bit of buy time in your belief, in your confidence, in
Yeah.
your certainty, which gives you a little bit more skill, or not skill, will to want to go and try new things and put yourself out there and be visible, which I talk about visibility and why that matters in your true authentic self and not trying to be everybody else.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And like soliciting feedback too, right? Like from people that you know, like, and trust, or from a coach to be
Right.
like, hey, and if it aligns with what you're about, it'll be easy, right?
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, it's looking back, I try to, when I coach people, to remember where I was and how I got started. It was intimidating and it was scary. And I think that by putting yourself in rooms like I did with the Girlfriends of Business, and have for the last year, I've just been putting myself in front of people. Hey, I'm ready. Here I am. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Has opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me that I wouldn't have if I was just at home watching in my feed and comparing and thinking I could never do that, right? So
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it too, right? Is you got to get in the rooms, and some of them might give you the ick, and some of them
right,
might, it might be the best thing ever. Like there wasn't one person I met at Girlfriends in Business that I wasn't like, yeah, I could be friends with her.
right, not one,
Everybody was wonderful, and I didn't talk to every single person, but I think that that's a big part too that I think a lot of people miss, is that you gotta get out there and be seen. In order to be known, people have to know about you, and
right.
scrolling on your screen isn't gonna make that happen, right?
And I
So
think that
let's talk
there's something to
because
be said about social media is like you kind of need to do both, because
yeah,
social media for most people can be excuse me, I have like a little
you're
tickle,
okay.
can be or feel surfaced. And so when you actually put yourself in rooms, and you can hug people and you can shake their hand and they can feel that energy, that
Energy about you.
prosperity, there's something to be said about that, which opens doors and opportunity, because then they're like, oh, I like her, she's real, she's authentic. I only like when I do meet people, they're like, oh my god, like it's weird because they're intimidated by me from my social, which I'm like, I'm just like you. I don't,
Yeah.
the followers don't matter, I'm just like you. And
I
so
tell everybody that is like anytime you go into an event like that or any sort of networking or to put yourself out there, every single person walking in feels some sort of intimidation, some
right,
sort of nerves, especially if they don't know a single person in the room.
right, yep,
But then once you do it, it feels a little bit better. You make a few besties and then you keep going, right?
off to the races, let's go.
Yes, and I think energy is like I'm a huge energy person,
Same.
and it's hard to capture energy online.
Mhm.
So, I mean, growing your audience from 0 to 50,000, I'm sure everybody's drooling. They're like, "How do I do that? How do I do that in 4 months?" Why
Yeah.
don't you share like with our listeners some tips on that, and like some ways to be confident in your social presence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what I was saying with being authentic. I mean, the hardest part is like scrolling through that For You page and seeing, oh, well, that person got likes and all these comments and I didn't get any. Or maybe they try to reduplicate the same type of content and it doesn't work for them. And so there's a lot of like psychological stuff that happens, I think, with who they are, like what they believe about themselves when they don't get
Sure.
engagement or likes or follows. And
Mhm.
so I try to encourage people, I wouldn't look at the numbers. I would look at more, are you being consistent with it? Are you being authentic with it? And are you trying the newer things in that might be working in the algorithm at that time and applying it? And then it's trial and error. It's always trial and error, right? Like it always is evolving and changing. That's the hard part about social media, especially with Instagram. It's always changing. So what worked 6 months ago doesn't work right now, right? So,
Yeah.
but I will say that when you see a reel or a post of someone's that maybe you've seen in your For You page work for two or three people, and you're like, oh, there's something about that reel that is catchy, then you can reduplicate it in a way that makes sense for you and your audience, and that's authentic to you. And so I use it as more inspiration instead of being like comparing, like if, especially if there's income
Sure.
bias, right, which can defeat people of like, how is she making that much, but I'm only making this much and I'm doing all the things. And it can get, there's a slippery slope when it comes to that. So I would encourage, one is to show up authentically and share your story in a way that can move people. So if I talk about my tribulation last year, and I can say it was a blessing in disguise because I would have never started my coaching business had I not hit rock bottom. And I'm tripling my income than I ever did, back then because of that, hardship that I went through.
Yeah.
Telling that story in a way that someone can see them in your shoes where they're at currently, and not doing it in a way where it's like braggadocious or, hey, look at me, that Instagram is pushing more original and authenticity than ever right now. And so I encourage any of you to get really clear on some of those stories. It could be 2 or 3 where you might have, it was a pivotal moment in your life or aha moment in your life where you hit rock bottom, and somehow that rock bottom had led you into now this. I would rather learn from somebody that's experienced than somebody
Hmm.
that has gone through hard stuff, maybe bankruptcy, and now all of a sudden is multimillionaire, and they have wisdom there. They have a lot of wisdom there.
100%.
And so that's the
Stories
same
so
thing I
powerful.
that's the same thing I applied to social media, is telling that in a way where people are, you're not the victim mentality, but you're somebody that, hey, I've been through some stuff, and I'm going to share that what I can with you to be able to impact you and move you to take massive action for yourself, whatever their story is in that moment. But there is, I will say, trending now, there are carousels telling stories. So like having text on a picture, a same picture, 7 slides, 7 to 10, 15 slides, and telling a story. Like I remember, and I'll do it today now because I'm just mentioning it, but
Yeah.
I remember last year when I was at rock bottom and the world felt against me, and here's what I did, kind of like what you're doing with me in the podcast, to get out of that and
Yeah.
to move forward and
That's
use it as a tool, not an anchor, like something that held me back.
such good advice. So at this event I just went to, one of the speakers, when you go and you speak or you put yourself out there on social media, you have like your rap sheet, right?
Hmm.
Like, here's all the cool stuff that I've done. And everybody's like, that's where the intimidation sets in. Like when I tell people, hey, I scaled a software company from 0 to 9 figures, they're like, but I'm like, wait, here's the shit that you didn't see
Yeah.
before that we went through. And they literally had a slide in their presentation that was like the shit we should have shown.
Yeah.
And it's like all the challenges and the things that happen. And that really, I feel like, is where the power is. Not just in like speaking engagements or putting yourself out there, but for sure on social, like you're
Right.
saying. So, such good advice. What do you think? Because like you hear everybody talk about like the trends and the this, like, and it can feel really overwhelming. What's
Hmm.
like one technique that everybody could implement to try and stay abreast of the trends? And maybe we just pick like Instagram.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, you're right. Because some people are like, what time of day should I post? Should I use a trending audio? Should
Yes.
I not? Like, there are so many. And I think what it comes down to is they want to see that we're using the app. When I say they, Instagram.
Okay.
So using the app and being consistent. So if your consistency is, okay, I'm going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't even care what time. Let's say morning time, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
There's a lot of metrics that go into it that you have to kind of monitor that month, the following month, and so forth. But the consistency of engaging and using Instagram, there's stickers in your stories, like the ones that are working right now. There's a new one called Imagine, and that one
Mm.
turns you into an AI superwoman or whatever feature that they're featuring in that.
Stop. I have to check this out now. We're gonna have to talk about this more
Well,
after we wrap.
some don't have it, so that's another thing.
Okay.
Like I have it, but like I know I heard some. I don't have that feature yet. So there's if you do have features like the add your sticker or the imagine sticker or a poll, and using them really helps get you more in front of people. I would say it's more growth
Okay.
content. It might not be conversion, but you're getting seen. And the thing we know about marketing, it takes 21 times for someone to see what you do said differently over and over again 21 times, right? So I think that people feel like they're being repetitive and that they're selling people or that they're doing it too much. But
I definitely feel like that. I need social media gaming. My social media is not on point.
yeah, and I can help you with that. But I think when it comes to it, is being DMs, like when I DM you, guess what I'm seeing in my For You page more than likely the day I go and look at my For You page? Your stuff.
Ah,
So there is
okay.
something to be said because they are, even Facebook and TikTok, they're wanting to build relationships. Like relationships are revenue. And I've always believed that, which is probably why I've done so good with building teams
Yeah.
and communities and audiences, is because I don't look at building my relationships as what's in it for me. I truly don't. Like, I'm like, what's in it for me to build a foundation of someone that I can build a relationship with, and where that goes, it's in God's hands. It's in the universe hands. Like, I truly am
Yeah.
not intentional. Like, I need to get a sale, I need to get her in my coaching program. I've never been like that. And there's something to be said about that, because people, I think, feel that, right?
For
So
oh, 100. I mean, if you are going into something, it's I call it commission breath.
yeah.
Like people they can smell it, and if you're doing it, you're not truly aligned, because if you're really aligned, you really just want to help people, and then the rest takes care of itself if you've built something good that's actually helping people.
Hmm. Yeah, amen. And I think that there's something to be said about that for people that get fixated on a dollar amount or a goal that they don't hit, and then they give up or they just move on to something else, right? I've seen so
Yep.
many, I call them jumpers or hoppers, and they just jump
Mhm.
one thing to another, when reality is like they need to be more in alignment with their passion and their purpose and what type of impact and legacy they want to leave for themselves, but also in the world, that people can feel that. Like, people aren't going to remember what you and I are talking about right now. They're going to remember how we made them feel,
Yep.
right? Like, they're going to remember, oh, they are seeing their story in what we're saying right now in this podcast. They're not thinking about, oh, poor Keisha or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
her story, they're thinking about themselves. And that's something that I've realized you can bring into social media too, to talk directly to that person that was typically a past version of you, and you have a solution for it. So I walk them through the sequence that helps in stories and even on reels, where they're doing more of that than in casting, almost like vision casting what could be
Yes.
possible for them, because they're in a moment of feeling like nothing is, and they're comparing and they're giving up and all these things. And each audience is different, but it seems to be what I experience, right? And so anyways, just using their features, like commenting people's stuff, automation, like ManyChat I have set up. So if a video goes crazy, that's now telling the algorithm, hey, she's engaging on her stuff. So now even old reels will start showing
Yeah.
in people's For You page, because the engagement's high. But
Got
I
it.
will say, this
So,
last week it's been
I
dead.
wanna pause you there with ManyChat because I've heard mixed things. So, because the ManyChat is the automation, right? So if you, like, comment sale and for, like, influencers and it sends you the links to their stuff. So that works the same with the algorithm for engagement?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Everybody run and get ManyChat.
Yeah.
Do you have an affiliate
ManyChat's
link?
great.
Let's give it to them.
I do. I think it's in my link in my bio. It's great. Honestly, I was scared of it at first because
Okay.
I didn't want to be a robot, right? Like, I didn't want people to think
Yeah.
I wasn't who I say I
Authentic.
am, authentic.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I brand myself as. So I still, even when people would do, like, I had a video, it's like 3.4 million, and thousands. I mean, I don't even know how many. I gotta go look. Just commented the word, and I'm like, holy cow! If I had to do that myself, I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine to be able to provide this freebie for them. But guess what it did? It gave me opportunity to start a conversation even after the many chat had sent to them. And I organically, for the best part, the best way, the best, as much as best as I could, would say, hey, did you get your freebie? Right? Like, as a human, because I wanted to
Yeah.
show that I wasn't just this robot and that I was going to just spot them all the time with all this stuff.
That's amazing. That's such good feedback. So, would you say overall, because I think some people are so overwhelmed by social media and they put it out there, but then they're spending time like scrolling and comparing themselves, but they're
Yeah.
not spending time engaging. So, it
Right.
sounds like engagement is a huge piece to really elevating yourself online.
Huge piece. One of the things that really helped me boost fast was collaborations. So I had hosted a women's retreat in Marco Island, Florida, and I barely even knew these girls, but I just said, "Hey, if I did a retreat for digital marketers, coaches, content creators, would you come?" And there was immediate yes. So something I realized early on is that all these people were making content in their cars and in their homes in the same setting. I'm like, we need to create an outside, because I'm very people like face to
Yeah.
face. I need to create a safe space where we can all get together and create content together. The best thing I think I had ever done was that, because within that I had 12 girls. We all did like collaborations where we did a video of all 12 of us and we invited as collaborator, we tagged each other, and it just, we were now intertwining our
Sure.
audiences. So we became known as almost a brand itself, not trying to, because of us doing those collaborations. So whether you can get in person with people in the same niche or industry and or do lives or podcasts, it's very important to in syncly work together and collaborate, because they also they Instagram
Yeah.
also promotes that. They want to see that there's community and collaboration. And
That's
that
huge.
was a big, huge increase of my audience at the beginning.
Tell us then, because I know so many people fixate on like numbers of followers, which I find fascinating because I didn't have to scale my company. I did a lot of stuff on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Didn't have to do a lot of stuff on Instagram. I did a lot of podcasts and things like that, but I got so much business online with a very small following. And so I always love telling people like it doesn't matter how many followers you have. So I'm curious, how many followers did you have on your page when you did the retreat and invited people to come?
600.
See, everyone?
Like
Like,
nothing.
that's huge. That's huge because I think some people have they're afraid to get going because they're like, "I'm a nobody. I only have a couple hundred followers." And it does not matter how many followers you have. If you have value to give, like you had a ton of knowledge on digital marketing. And what I love is that that knowledge is probably why you had the confidence to do the retreat because you knew it wasn't BS. You were actually going to give those girls value. And
Right.
so, if that's anybody listening, like this is your message to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. Like, and that's something I coach too on, because you're right. There is this status quo or whatever you want to call it about people thinking they have to have a lot of followers to make a lot of dollars. When in reality, if I look back of how I built audiences, even in high school and college, it was all relationships. It was communities. It was collaborating. It was getting in the right rooms. It was more of that than it was social media. And that's actually how I built my network marketing business.
Yeah.
Is yes, I it's almost, you have to look at social media as an extension, not as
Mhm.
the only thing.
Yeah, I
It's not
love
the only
that.
thing. And I feel like I can say for both me and my spouse that we have built phenomenal, huge teams off of relationships. And social media was an extension to get, I would say, more eyes on what we were doing. But we were old school, calling up our
Yeah.
friends. What do you know about this? Right. And I think that there's something to be said about that. It still works. And it's not that you have to just do that and or just do social media. You can do a combination of both.
So good. So much gold. Thank you so much for being here. I want to make sure that we feature you. You have some really great programs. So before we wrap up, tell everybody listening how they can connect with you and what's the best way to get in touch.
I would say just my Instagram. I have a aligned audience workshop coming up at the end of the month, right before Thanksgiving. It's completely free. So I'll be going over the 3 principles to help, more tactical, to help them, even if they took one thing from that workshop that they can apply to help them with their growth.
Yeah.
That would be a really good place for them to start. And then obviously in the DMs in my Instagram, I answer them, so it's not like a
She's
bot.
not a robot, friends.
But I would say there, and if somebody is listening that really has an idea of their ideal client and understands their niche and their brand and what they want to do, they just need a lot of social media help. My Aligned Audience Academy is that. Just DM me Academy and I can get on a call with you, quick call, and just tell you more about it, or even just DM you, voice text, like however people like to communicate, I meet them where they're at. And
I
so,
love that.
yeah.
Amazing. Okay, for anybody who's looking to get going, go check her out. She's incredible. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Hot Girl School. My hotties, we'll see you next time.
Bye.